Hey, it's November 15th. We got the morning market rundown here again. Let's get into this price action from yesterday. Talk about our potential scenarios for today. We're going to start out here in the daily time frame, just talk about the week real quick, and just talk about how these gains have been getting digested from this recent rally. We pulled back to the election anchored VWAP on Tuesday the 12th and bounced. We pulled back to it on Wednesday and bounced. And yesterday, we could see that we closed underneath this election VWAP, found some support intermediate for the time being at the gap from Tuesday's the 5th VWAP, and now we're gapping underneath that. We can see some key levels here from Fibonacci retracement is the 587, the 580, and the 574. We got the 20-day moving average at the 584.38 and the 50-day moving average at the 574. So let's get into this intermediate time frame and talk about our situations from yesterday. So the bullish case was it really failed coming to see it on Wednesday when that situation came fruition, when we rallied up to this month to the week to date VWAP, reclaimed it, and started to see some strength, and that just got shut off. We broke the week to date VWAP, reclaimed here, broke the 5-day, and you just start to see once we get here, it's a sequence of lower lows and lower highs, right? What really was the change in character was right here when we broke that 5-day moving average and then the additional confirmation below the week to date VWAP. So then that brought us to the short scenario that we discussed in the video yesterday, that you could see here. We were looking for an anticipation of the break of the election VWAP for a potential target at the VWAP from the 5th down here, 5th, the 4th here. And that was a potential level. And that's right where we closed up near yesterday. So if we move this over here, the textbook play would have been that when it rallies off that VWAP and it breaks this key level down into this 592. And if you were an really aggressive day trader, you could try this, meeting the parameters that you're under a declining 5-day moving average, you're under a week to date VWAP, and under a 2-day VWAP, and using the daily VWAP as your trigger. We're going to go election VWAP, potential level down to the gap from the 4th, and then that month to date VWAP that we talked about. So let's get into what could happen today. Let's zoom this out a little bit now, and we could see here that we're trading in the pre-market, filling this gap. So maybe we get a little bit of support here, bounce back up to this 2-day VWAP right over here. So you could see this 2-day VWAP. Let's go into a 10-minute time frame. So we could see this 2-day VWAP maybe starts to do something like this here. So we rally up to that 2-day VWAP, reject it, and maybe come down to that month-to-date VWAP. The bullish scenario would be is we could get back above that 2-day VWAP, start rallying into the 3-day and that week-to-date. But just keep in mind now, this 5-day moving average is going to be declining. So we know. So that's something to keep in mind at, and the intermediate trend loses some points. We could see here we'll be adding all the data and replacing it with new data. We'll be removing all this data and replacing with data lower. So it's going to bring that 5-day moving average down. So perhaps we could get a rally up into that declining 5-day moving average, look to settle down in here, and then see this start to flatten out. And then we could look to say, all right, we're back above the election VWAP. The 5-day moving average is flat to rising, rally to a new high, pulls back. This would be our election VWAP, that red line. So you can see here from Wednesday the 6th, the day after the election. So then you have evidence that the election VWAP is in play, that the buyers are in control from there as we trade above. The sellers are losing control as we trade above, and that 5-day moving average is flat to rising. So a little extra detail on that. Let's get into this QQQ, which I did take the short on this And we could just see quickly the daily time frame here, and we could see that very similar concept to the SPY. Pull back to the 2 days, these past 2 days, to the anchored VWAP from the election, broke it, rallied down to Tuesday the 5th VWAP, and at this 508 level, and we're now filling this gap. So my drawings are gone on the QQQ right now. I don't know what happened to them. So that's what it is. But anyways, let's get into what happened yesterday. Same situation as the SPY. At the bullish case would have been the reclaim of this week to date VWAP, 5-day moving average, and then we get that continuation to the upside. But we broke down, and yesterday you could see we rallied down to the election VWAP, consolidated, couldn't even tag the 2-day VWAP, and then started to create this continuation of lower lows and lower highs. So the trade was very similar to what we talked about on the SPY, is that you could see here too, is as I thought we could reclaim the daily VWAP and go. This anchored VWAP handoff from VWAP started to act as resistance. So this was the change in character right here. And I started to actually short this once we got underneath the daily VWAP down into this 508 level. Hindsight would have been great to swing some overnight, right? But that's just part of trading. So, and then this was a re-entry here as it rallied back up into the daily VWAP, and we consolidated and broke this VWAP. We have the entry and the stop above the daily VWAP. So let's go and dive into for today and see what could happen. So this is what we're looking for. Might as well just delete all this now. It's a little upset my drawings are gone here. So trading down, it's maybe the same concept. We rally back up into this area, pull back a little bit, maybe just drift down a little bit lower, and then start to consolidate down in this area. And then that fuels us up. So it's a very similar situation to the SPY. We'll just see this, let the market settle down, digest these gains, let the 5-day moving average catch up to this data, maybe get something like this. That would be our 5-day moving average. Same concept with that election VWAP that we talked about on the SPY. Wait for the confirmation for that for the buyers to get back in control. And then we could look to maybe set something up in this area. So maybe it's going to rally up. Maybe it'll just hold right away and continue to go. But I'd prefer for this, after this big move, let this digest, give us a very similar situation. It's like the barcode here on this big rally, digesting, and frustrate some shorts for some time to this fuel a nice push up further. So some key levels that we're looking for is if this breaks down on some continuation, we'll be monitoring, the 500 level, and the coming back down into this 496 area to 494. So we put a retracement here. Got 503, 495, and then you got the 50-day moving average back at this 488. Not thinking it's gonna. None of this is a prediction. It's just some areas where price goes. They're worth of some interest.